can hold ya. There's only you to rely on. No one else can take the fight on.
Hello and welcome to the latest episode of Harmonious World. Welcome whether you're a new listener or coming back for more. And also don't forget that there are more than 320 other episodes, so do check out some of those. For this episode, I'm absolutely delighted to be joined by Terry Shaughnessy, who is better known as Earth-o-Naut. I've been trying to speak to him for months and we just haven't been able to do it, but we've done it now. So enjoy listening to that. His new album, This Is Nowhere, This Is Everywhere, will be out at the end of May. We'll be talking about that and what his journey has been like to get this far, and especially his nomination for a Jazz FM award. And those awards are being presented in a couple of weeks' time. What you're listening to now is This Is Day One, which is probably one of the first tracks that anybody will have heard from Earth-o-Naut. So I hope you enjoy my conversation with Terry Shaughnessy, better known as Earth-o-Naut.
This is day one. This is day one. This is day one. This is day one.
Welcome to Harmonious World. I'm delighted to be joined by the person behind Earth-o-Naut. Now, you will have heard, the audience will have heard Earth-o-Naut before, but will never have known that the guy behind it all is a guy called Terry Shaughnessy, who's sitting in front of me now on the screen. Hi, Terry.
How you doing, Hilary? Good to see you.
Yeah, really good to see you too. So it's an absolute delight to talk to you because Earth-o-Naut's been bubbling around on the UK jazz scene, but I suspect you're being listened to further afield than that for a few months now. So where did it come from?
Okay, so my Earth-o-Naut project kind of probably started kind of properly in 2023, maybe the summer of 2023. Before that, I've been in different bands, all my own bands. I've always been like a songwriter, and it's been my thing. Not necessarily in the kind of soul jazz world. However, growing up, that kind of music was the music that I was really passionate about and I was into. And my first instrument is drums, so I'm a drummer. So that was, the groove and the feel of that music. I really got into it when I was young, and it carried all the way through. But for a long time, I wanted to write songs for that genre because I'm, it's kind of like my passion. But I didn't feel like my chops were ready yet, like songwriting chops or me playing. So I kind of just kept chipping away at it while I was doing other stuff. And then eventually, as I say, around 2023, summertime, I thought, I think I'm ready now. So I started recording, doing some demos, and then it kind of started properly March 2024 when I released the first single, which was called Call Me.
Yeah, that was when I first heard you and I went, oh, I like this. Who is Earth-o-Naut?
Well, this seems to be the thing. Even on I started getting lots of airplay on Jazz FM, and even the DJs were like, who is this Earth-o-Naut? We don't know anything about him. We don't know about them. They thought it was a band, And I did that on purpose in the beginning to not as some big grand master plan, because it's been done before, but I just wanted people to not reference me to anything I'd done before, or, oh, that's the guy from there, or we've seen him doing this. I just wanted the music to come out and people to take the music on face value, and then hopefully they liked it. And that was their only reference point, really. That was the point of that.
Right. So you told me that you're a drummer originally. So what do you do on the singles that you've released up to this point, because you've got an album coming out, which we'll talk about in a minute, but the singles you've released up to this point, how much of that has been you?
So aside from, although I'm a drummer, I've been very fortunate to have Steve White to play drums on the majority of the album. So regarding the singles on the album, aside from the drums on 9 or 7 or 8 of the tracks, and there's some backing vocals uh, by some girls, friends of mine who are good singers, I've literally done everything else myself from the ground up, from the writing, doing the demos, the recording, the production, the mixing, just the whole shebang, really. So aside from those couple of people, yeah, I've kind of gone at it on my own, really.
Because your voice doesn't sound anything like what it does on Earth-o-Naut singles. In a good
That's,
way. In a good
yeah,
way. I mean, yeah.
that's probably a good thing, seeing as I'm a Scouser, because it's quite a definite accent, and yeah, it's not I mean, this is the way I talk and that's the way I sing. It's not like a conscious
Yeah.
effort, but
Yeah.
yeah,
Brilliant.
I don't know.
I interviewed Marco Cufolo a few months ago,
Yeah,
and he's the same. He's got a broad Scottish accent, obviously,
right.
and yet his voice when he sings, it's not like that at all. So
Yeah,
yeah, but that's really good. So you've got a few singles. Are all of the singles that we will have heard on the radio? Are they all on the new album?
not all of them. Quite a few of them, and I don't know. I release, I think, 7 or 8 singles in 18, 19 months. However, once I got me a record deal, the record company said, we took down the singles that are on the album, basically. So there's only a few things up there on the streaming platform. So some of the singles are, but I think there's 2 or 3 of the singles that came out that aren't on the album. So yeah, so probably maybe 4 or 5.
Right.
I think
Okay. And when does the album come out?
I got an email the other day, and I've been told it's coming out on May the 29th.
Brilliant. Well, we'll all look forward to that, and I shall review it. If you can make sure I get a copy of it, I'll
Yeah.
write a review of it as well as this conversation, obviously.
No.
Yeah. And obviously you've worked with my old friend Steve White from the Style Council, who's also got his own album that came out last week.
That's right. Yeah, it's really good, and I didn't hear the whole album up front, but he sent me some tasters from the studio, and I knew it was going to be a good album. And I mean, I'm still going to be most things Steve White does. I'm going to be into just because of his playing. So, I mean, if I thought something wasn't ready for me, then I'd say. But in general, he's a brilliant musician, and anything he gets involved with is usually spot on. And his new album, the new album's brilliant. I'm going to see them a week on Saturday in Manchester, so I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah, that'd be good.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but Steve's a great fella, isn't he, as you know?
Yeah, absolutely. Thoroughly good guy. So yeah, and that's really nice that you've got him involved in your project, because I know that sort of earlier last year, I think in particular, people were starting to get a hint of who you were and that Steve White was kind of involved, and so it was that was nice straight away. You've got a bit of credibility straight away.
Yeah, thank God for Steve White, or I've had no credibility.
No, but you had the music did. The music spoke for itself. I mean, I think it was something new that just came in that as soon as you heard it on the radio, and even now when I hear things on the radio that are you, I go, oh yeah, I can tell straight. Even if I don't remember the song, I know it's you.
Yeah. I mean, great to have someone like Steve White playing on the tracks, and I've known him for quite a while, from being a drummer and being in like the drumming community, and we just kind of always kept in touch. We became mates, and then in the very beginning, there was a couple of people, Steve being one of them. When I'd finished like the first Earth-o-Naut single, "Call Me," I sent it to him and Neil Sheesby from Stone Foundation.
Oh yeah,
fella who sound really good, like sounding board, and so I'd send him like the private link, and it was about maybe 3 singles in, and I'd sent him something again, and then I'd he was asking me what was happening, what was going on, and I was saying, you know, some record companies were interested, and I'd started to do my album like properly in earnest, and he was brilliant. He just said, there's anything you want me to play on? So I was like, well, yeah,
Yeah,
definitely.
yeah,
So, and at first it was like a couple of tracks, and then I just basically WhatsApped him and I said, listen, being really cheeky, because my mum always taught me, like, don't ask if you don't get. But how many tracks can I send you? Because I'm going to send you as many as I can for you to play on. And fair play to him, he was like, you send me whatever you've got, and we'll do it. Like, I'm really looking forward to it. And, goes without saying, he's done an amazing job and just
yeah.
brought something to it that me as a drummer wouldn't have brought to it. You know what I mean? He's just,
Yeah. But he was, I mean, Steve, this interview is not about Steve, but at the same time, he's one of those guys who just worked really, really hard. He got into the Style Council because he was a hard-working drummer. He'd got his chops. He'd really, really worked to get that style that he'd got and the technique that he's got and that he's still using now. And one of the things I really like is his, not only does he share his what he knows and his skills, but he's always involved in workshops and all sorts of things. It's brilliant.
yeah. I mean, that's where I mean, apart from the music, I mean, one of the biggest influences on me, like early on, was that first Paul Weller solo album. And firstly, because of the drums, because of the drumming, it was just, he's a drummer who's got all the technique, like you said, available, but he'll play for the song. And some of the drumming on that album was just outstanding. And then obviously, like, as a songwriter, I songs like Amongst Butterflies or Clues, especially, just like as you'd expect, great songs. But I think the drumming throughout that whole album was just, that really, and it's a more soulful album as well. It was like kind of the bridge between the Star Council and what came next. You had things on there like Into Tomorrow, which hinted at something that might have happened on Wildwood or Stanley Road. But just that particular album, and even going to like, so there was that, the music side of it, and obviously then I backtracked and got into the Star Council and stuff like that and other stuff. But and then I was going to like the drum clinics, the drum workshops, and just checking Steve out there. And yeah, he's one of these few drummers who's got all the technique in the world but plays for the song, which is like absolutely paramount to me. I can't work with any musicians who don't play for the song, who've got no ego. Just leave the ego at the door.
Yeah.
Play for the song. Do what's right. Pack your gear up and get off. Do you know what I mean? That's like this. It's no big secret. It's not rocket science.
No, and actually, I think that's what Earth-o-Naut has been around, hasn't it? It's all been about the music. From the word go. You didn't want it to be about you. You wanted it to be about this being that is Earth-o-Naut.
Yeah, of course. I mean, and I've said this before, but I have a couple of sayings which have like been my like mantra, if you like, for 10, 15 years or longer. One of them was actually "There's nothing above music and love," which is the title of the single.
Which is lovely. I love that. It's such an earworm. So it's what I hear quite often as I'm walking the dog. It's like going through my head. It's great.
Oh well, I mean that's good. That means a job done as a songwriter. And the other saying about it was musician minus ego plus fire, and basically self-explanatory. It's like, it's about the music. You take your ego out the equation, and then you've got to be passionate about it. You've got to be fired in your belly about it. And I think that's informed anything that I've ever done, and especially the Earth-o-Naut stuff, because it's about the songs and the music, and everything's serving the song and the groove and the music. And hopefully, you've mentioned that that's coming across. I guess I hope so. Anyway,
definitely. So also, you've been nominated as a newcomer in the Jazz FM Awards for 2026.
Yeah, brilliant. Properly humbled by that. Yeah, breakthrough act of the year 2026 or something. So yeah, really chuffed about that, and just kind of nice to just get that recognition that you feel like you're doing something that's connecting with people. Basically, Jazz FM have been absolutely brilliant. from the get-go regarding Earth-o-Naut, and then I got the email a couple of days before it was announced that you couldn't announce it until a few days later. I was just like, wow, what's happening here? You know, I'm just a little scally from a council estate outside Liverpool, and here I am getting nominated for the Jazz FM Award. So, you know.
Yeah, that's brilliant. And I think that shows a lot about Jazz FM and their awards, that they are looking around definitely for the best music that comes under that jazz soul, you know, bit of funk, blues,
Yeah.
you know, umbrella. And it doesn't matter where you come from, you know, you could be from wherever. And I think that's one of the really nice thing about these awards, is that they're genuinely recognizing some of the best musicians around. And I think your songwriting and your singing and your arranging as well, I think, don't lose sight of that. You know, the arrangements that you've done are they're really strong.
Oh, thank you very much. I mean, it's good. As I say, it's just nice when people say that and pick up on stuff like that, because, you know, you don't really expect people to talk about those things really. And Jazz FM, I literally sent an email to Jazz FM with my first single, and I'd gone from being in bands, like I said, doing really well, and then I was at Earth-o-Naut, I was at ground zero. I had like no followers, no likes, all that kind of nonsense. And I just sent "Call Me" by email, thinking nothing. 2 weeks later, head of music emailed me and said, you know, we love this track. Danielle Perry wants to have it as track of the week. Is that okay? And I was like, of course. And then it just went on from there, ended up on the A-list. And then every single since has been track of the week and worked its way onto the A-list. And I don't think there's another national station like the stature of Jazz FM who will just take something on the face value of, we like this music. And I think that, you know, that needs to be applauded. Jazz FM need kudos for that. And I can't thank them enough. And amazing to be on their awards, obviously amazing. Looking forward to having a swanky night out, like.
Absolutely. Well, I wish you the very, very best of luck with that, because that's a big deal, I think. Even the nomination, let alone if you win, the nomination is really spectacular. You're up against some good people, you know. So
yeah, I mean, you know, awards. I guess at the end of the day, it's like, who knows what you've got to say about that? But like you say, it's just good to be recognised, and when I'd messaged Steve White to tell him, he was like, just getting nominated is an achievement in itself.
Exactly.
Especially these days, how hard the music business is. And so I'm really looking forward to it, like I say, and really looking forward. I've never met face to face like DJs who've been championing it, and so it'd be great to catch up with everyone and say thank you for everything they've been doing and saying and playing the music. So proper humbled by that and really looking forward to it.
So the album's out the end of May. What's it called?
The album is called "This Is Nowhere, This Is Everywhere."
Okay, interesting. Is there a title track, or is that just?
Yeah, the title track is the last track on the album.
Right. Right. Okay. Well, I look forward to hearing all of it. That's brilliant.
Yeah.
So what's next? Once the album comes out, what are you going to be doing next?
Okay, so there's another single coming out, probably around the end of April, to kind of bridge the gap between now and the album coming out. Then the album at the end of May, then probably another single to follow, and then I'm navigating trying to get some live shows together, basically, just with all the musicians you need to. It's probably going to be like a 9 or 10 piece band, which is obviously logistically is a nightmare and financially is a nightmare. So it's like just trying to balance everything and get everyone together and get it moving. But there'll definitely be some live shows this year at some point, you know, sooner rather than later. And then at the moment, I mean, this album's not come out yet, but I'm literally starting to demo stuff for the next one.
Sure.
So
yeah.
I mean, I come in the studio every day and chip away at something. It's just what I do. It's what I've always done, really. So so that's kind of what's bubbling under there. I definitely can't wait to come out and play live, to be honest. You know, Steve's already said that as long as he's available, and he's going to be up for having the drum and seat on the live gigs, which should be amazing.
Yeah.
I know Neil Sheesby has said the same thing for the bass spot, and the lads from the Stone Foundation brass section as well, kind of like lifting half of their band to take on something.
Well, yeah, why not? They're a great band. Stone Foundation's really a great band, and I think this will take them into a different direction. It's much more soulful, I guess.
Yeah, I mean the response I got, like Neil Sheesby, like I say, I've been like his mate for a while, and Steve Trigg, the trumpet player, I've got to know him a bit more recently. But both of those people, when I sent them the album, just came back and were like, especially Neil, he was just like, it's really connected with. I love this album, and he's kept saying that. And Steve Trigg loved it, and it's just nice to get those kind of musicians who themselves, they're obviously in it for the music.
Yeah.
Hearing your album, and they're I know they'd come back and wouldn't, if they didn't mean it, they wouldn't say it. You know what I mean? I'd be the same. You need people like that. So it'd be good if I can navigate it and get all of those people in the live band and get them and go and do some shows, which will definitely happen, one way or the other.
Yeah.
This year, because that's what it's about, isn't it? Playing live. I love it. I love playing live.
Yeah, definitely. Fantastic. Oh, listen, Terry, it's been so good to talk to you. And I look forward to coming to one of your live gigs. Yeah,
well, I'm hoping to do an album launch show first. So, as soon as I've got people in place and the date for that, I'll let you know, and I'll sort out your copy of the album.
Yeah.
I'd love you to review it. That'd be brilliant.
Fantastic.
And yeah, thanks for having me on. I really appreciate it.
Well, I hope you enjoyed listening to that conversation with Terry Shaughnessy, aka Earth-o-Naut. It was really good to chat with him, and I'm looking forward to reviewing the album and then going to a live gig. What you're listening to now is There's Nothing Above Music and Love, which is the latest single. Please share, rate and review wherever you get your podcasts. It really helps people find me. I hope you have a really good week, and thanks for joining me once more for Harmonious World.
There's nothing about music and love. It's not complicated. I don't think I'd make it. Nothing about music and love. Believe when I say it. I don't think I'd make it without. Put your faith in the sound. Press play. It's okay. It'll put your head in the clouds. Dream away. Just dream it away. There will be no isolation. All brought together in a sonic congregation. If you're looking for salvation, it'll be your salvation. There's nothing about music and love. It's not complicated. I don't think I'd make it. Nothing about music and love. But I don't think I'd make it. Don't think I'd make it without.
Thank you for listening to the latest episode of Harmonious World. My name is Hilary Seabrook, and it's a great delight to bring this series of discussions with musicians and composers and writers and all sorts of people to you. Obviously, there's no point in having a podcast if people aren't listening, and I'm very grateful to my listeners for doing so. Thanks also to Joe English for composing and performing this new theme tune. So wherever you get your podcast, you can leave a review. You can share this with your friends and family, either as a link or on social media and that sort of thing. I'd be really grateful for that. Don't forget that you can subscribe now. There's a link wherever you get your podcasts. So have a great week, and please remember why I started this, which is just to try and make the world a little more harmonious. Thanks for listening to Harmonious World.